Okay.
Ready?
Yep.
Plumbing. Okay, so pick it up where we left off. This is something I see probably 80% of homes. Dishwasher drain incorrectly run. It should go up to the underside. And let's see if I can. It should go up to the underside of the sink cabinet or countertop and then back down to the connection. Right now it's just running straight up into a drain. But you don't want that to happen. You want there to be a loop, a high loop, so that there's a trap. So if there's dirty water in the sink, it doesn't backflow into the dishwasher because that's just plain nasty. Also, if there's a sewage backup, you don't want it to end up in your dishwasher. Exterior faucets need to be secured to the wall. So there's one in the front, one in the back, and they just need to be screwed to the wall. Of course, on the brick, that would have to be hammer drilled out and Tapconned in, but that's not awful hard to do. Electrical. Okay, this is, of course, my hot button since I used to do electrical in the last few years of college. But I noted many, I'll just read the statement, many instances of improperly run wiring and, that should be my dictation screwed me up right there, and improperly installed electrical noted on the exterior, such as at the front porch and around the exterior of the home, namely on the right side. Plug-in style cords running into the ground, etc. Let's see. Also noted that GFCI receptacle installed on the fence is installed on a circuit already protected by a GFCI. That's that one right there. Improper installation. Some receptacles and covers also noted as not working properly. I said recommend full exterior electrical evaluation. Here's that hose and that wire that y'all were talking about. You were wondering what the heck it is. So the hose, what it is it goes across in front of the front porch and around the corner, and it's buried in the plant bed. It's just a regular water, like a garden hose. And I was able to pull it up out of landscaping, and I guess every once in a while they would just attach it to this faucet right here. That hose actually ends up like right here underneath this faucet by the garage door. And then I guess they buried it, and it goes across and then buries and goes around the front of the house, and I don't know where it goes from there. It's probably buried in the massive amount of pine needles. But also you can see this wire. So what they did was here, so in the garage, they've probably attached this to a receptacle in the garage, gone through the wall, down around, they put it in conduit across here to try and protect it. It is, at least it's exterior grade and underground, rated wiring. You can bury this stuff in the ground and it's just fine to do so, but still, to run it across like that is not right. And it goes down and around the corner, and I don't know where in the world it terminates. I was not pulling that much wire out of the ground. It was starting to get hard to pull up, and I didn't want to do damage to something. Plus, the receptacles in the garage are not GFCI protected like they should be. Somebody probably took the GFCI out at some point and never put it back. And I wasn't going to go tugging on a wire that is not shock protected and end up pulling something out if there was a bare end or something. So I would have an electrician pull that up and figure out where it's going and make it right.
The agent said she had tons of fountains.
Yes, apparently she did just that, had tons of fountains. Yeah, I mean, you can see this plug right here. That one's probably going out to the fountain that's sitting outside, just like right over here. But yeah, I mean, they installed other receptacles, and there's a box with a switch that runs. There's on this side of the patio is a box with a receptacle and a switch that actually turns this switch on, which was what that was plugged into that turned on the fountain. Anyway. So in the panel, there's some white wires used as hots, which is technically okay, but they should be colored black or red, either with electrical tape or Sharpie if they're used as a hot. By today's standards, in '93, it was okay to leave them white because an electrician was smart enough to trace it out to a breaker and know that it was hot. But there's also a double tapped breaker in here, and that could cause overheat to this breaker, potential fire hazard. It doesn't look like it's overheating, but it's not technically correct, and there is enough room to add a new breaker and put that on its own breaker. Just looks like some do-it-yourself electrical in the house. It's just not right. Let's see, some bulbs noted as burnout or missing. If replacing fixture still doesn't function, probably consult an electrician for repairs. I call this a stupid statement because most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's just a bulb. But we'll say this next statement, and maybe it's not. Front bedroom and middle bedroom fan and light noted as not working. Of course, I think they're both on remotes, and the remote that was here, battery's dead. Also, this is the one that is a little curious. Eating area light noted as not working. So I flipped the switch up and down on the dimmer. Yeah, this one right here.
This one.
And I can see that those candelabra bulbs, the filaments in them appear to be, most of them, good. So I would expect that some would turn on. So if there's one that is not just bulbs, that might be the one, which would be odd. So maybe the switch has gone bad, hard to say. Let's see, not all receptacles in the kitchen and garage are GFCI protected. Notice shock hazards and wet areas, though some not required when the home was built. Now in the garage, they were all required to be GFCI, but in the kitchen, in 92, it would have only been within 6 feet of the sink by linear cabinet. So it would follow the countertop. Even if it rounded a corner, it became 6 direct feet in 4 years later. But by today's standards, they should all be shock protected. All right, heat. So heat worked fine, about ran me out of the house. Let's see. I actually got a reasonable view through the ventilation on the front cover. We're not supposed to remove the front covers anymore. Board says so. But the heat exchanger actually looks pretty good in there. But since we're so limited on heat and air, it wouldn't hurt to have a heat and air guy do a more thorough evaluation. But with gas appliances in the house, there should be a permanently installed carbon monoxide detector. They've got one plugged into the wall on here. Number one, it shouldn't be low. Number two, it should be permanently installed and high up on the wall or on the ceiling, because it builds up from the top down. Let's see, the gas fireplace is not lit, could not evaluate. Power, water, or gas turned off to anything. I'm not allowed to turn it on because I don't know why it's off. Might be hazardous, so I'm not allowed to turn it on. Of course, they can turn it on and show you that it works. Most likely it will work just fine. Also, the fireplace hood is noted as loose. That little ugly brass piece is hanging off. They'll probably take that off anyway, won't you? Let's see, air conditioning. Air filter is dirty. Actually, it's a one air filter up in the attic at the unit. And it's one of those big ones. And I think it was a 16 by 25 by 4 or 5. Probably need to pull it out all the way and measure it. I didn't pull it out all the way because I pulled it out and I saw how dirty it was. And I just said, that's enough for me to say it's dirty. But that should be replaced to maintain efficiency. Also, the insulation on the Freon line set going to the compressor outside, that insulation is weathered and deteriorated, needs to be replaced to prevent energy loss. It's an easy thing. Number 3, the auxiliary. So the emergency condensation drain on the left side is flush with the wall. So right here, it should be sticking out and should have an elbow turning down. So now this doesn't have condensation coming out of it on a regular basis, but if it ever had an issue and it started leaking, it might run behind the siding. And this house was done at a time that they did not do house wrap. So it would be going right onto the wood wall structure. So that needs to be extended out with an elbow turned down. And siliconed around so water doesn't go into it, like I said in the exterior section. Let's see, interior, almost done here. Though not required when the home was built, recommend installing smoke detectors on all the bedrooms for additional fire safety. There's some bedrooms that don't have them. There are some doors that don't latch, maybe rub the jambs, have malfunctioning hardware, needs adjustment. So coat closets not latching. And I would tinker with the exterior doors just to make sure that they seal and latch properly. A couple of them are a little rattly, maybe not getting the weather stripped completely. Of course, most of them are under roof and covered anyway. Ceiling and wall cracks noted in various locations, potential indications of settlement. It all looks like sheetrock tape joints, which possibly weren't the best. And of course, there is some wallpaper in this house that's been painted over, so some of that is that. I didn't really see anything that I thought was actual settlement in this house. And of course, it's always going to crack in the garage because that's not a climate controlled area, so that gets humid and dry, hot and cold, and those tape joints always crack. Some windows noted as screwed shut. So that's an egress hazard if you can't open the window. Some are also noted as out of balance and difficult to open, which is also an egress hazard. You need to be able to open and close windows. They are old windows, some have broken tilt hardware. Check those. Basically check all the windows and whatever they need. Fix it. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do replacement windows because these are, they were okay for 92, but they aren't the best for now. At some point I would probably do replacement windows if it was me. Also, I don't have to note this, but I did note that some of the shutter blinds on some of the windows had broken hardware not functioning properly, so take that for what it is. Some door stops noted as broken or missing. If a door can swing around and do damage to a wall, should have a door stop. I did see one ceiling water stain over the fireplace area. We're not supposed to take the moisture meter to those. It actually looks like a older stain. I couldn't figure out exactly where that was coming in, but that should just be evaluated. And if it is indeed leaking, which it may be old from, this looks like a newer roof.
Yeah,
I don't know what
replaced
how old did they say it was?
2 years,
2?
maybe.
Yeah.
If memory serves, I can go back and look.
Kind of surprises me on the roof boots. I would expect them to replace them. Anyway, that's probably prior to the new roof, honestly. And then the kitchen sink cabinet noted as water damaged on the inside. There was probably a leak. The disposal actually looks like a newer disposal. So I'm thinking that the disposal probably leaked at some point and they replaced the disposal and they never repaired the damaged floor inside the cabinet. I do have to say that, potential for hidden damages and health concerns, but if it's dry, it's probably fine. Plus, you're sitting on a slab, so nothing really to destroy underneath. And the Lazy Susan needs adjustment. It just, as you operate it, it hits the stile on the bottom, and it should just turn smoothly. And then the last thing, appliances. The range does not have its anti-tip safety device, prevent children from climbing on it, tipping it over on them, but that's 99% of ranges, not surprised. Dishwasher working properly, but it's not secured completely. It has 2 little mounting tabs, one here, and this one's not screwed.
I think the appliances are getting an overhaul.
Yeah, I imagine y'all are probably going to get rid of the appliances and replace them. So some of this is going to be moot point. But
Question, they're likely wanting to put a gas range right there and put a tank or something right outside that exterior wall. No problem, no issue?
Shouldn't be.
Okay.
Especially considering this is exterior vented.
Okay.
Just make sure that whatever goes here stays exterior vented.
Okay.
I always recommend that with gas appliances. You technically don't have to, but it's highly recommended.
Okay.
But that is actually everything. If you do replace the appliances, get a new range, put that bracket in there so that sometime down the road, some home inspector will be happy to find it.
True.
But that's everything.
Perfect.
Anything you want me to
I was
say
going,
anything additional about?
I was just gonna show him that roof stain real quick. I feel like we may have noticed it, but,
Yeah.
oh, right there.
It's right there.
And,
I'm gonna step outside and look again and see if I see what.
Okay. I'm just gonna walk through and do it. The painter came by. He will have an estimate for me tomorrow. On that, I had him quote ceiling, walls, and all trim throughout. I told him you'd likely be doing Killing Beige, but if you need some color changes, that's not a problem at all. I also asked him to remove these weird little trim pieces, like there, and I asked him to remove the chair rail on this side of the kitchen. So I put that in the quote request as well. Okay, thank you.